Stage party, you may be seated. Good afternoon and welcome to the 2026 Pre-Commencement ceremony for St. Louis University's Richard A. Chaifetz School of Business. Please join me in welcoming the class of 2026. I now invite Father David Swalski of the Society of Jesus to the podium for the invocation. Please rise.
We come together this afternoon to celebrate our graduates who have suffered the joys of study with the sure and certain hope that what has been uncovered in the classroom and library and deepened by their relationships with faculty and friends has created a foundation for a long and abundant life. We lift up the achievements of our graduates, and we acknowledge that these achievements did not come without stress and challenges, and yet here they are, and we celebrate what they have accomplished. Let us be grateful to all those who have made this day possible, most especially your families, professors, and friends, and let us give thanks to God who has placed these wonderful people in your life. And so we pray. Gracious and loving God, we pray you to continue your support for our graduates, strengthen them as they journey to new opportunities in life, encourage them to witness to your steadfast love, and support them as they go forth from St. Louis University. May they be signs of your grace and love for all that you have encountered. May they be makers of peace and doers of justice, and may they embody the compassion our city and nation and world needs. Fill them with your Holy Spirit and cause your face to shine upon them. May your blessing be upon them this day and always. With gratitude, we offer this prayer, giving thanks for our graduates who have been a blessing to all of us. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you very much, Father Sawalski. Good afternoon, family, friends, faculty, staff, distinguished guests, and graduates. My name is Jackson Nickerson, and I am the Edward Jones Dean of the Chaifetz School of Business at St. Louis University. With immense joy and pride, I welcome you to the 2026 pre-commencement ceremony of the Chaifetz School of Business. Today, we gather to celebrate not only academic achievement, but lives transformed, and the launch of the next episode of our students' journey. At Chaifetz, we don't simply convey knowledge to our students. We develop people of character. We ask our students to care deeply about their communities and those who are most vulnerable within them. We challenge students to have the courage to lead, not just in business, but in difficult, meaningful work of making the world better. We elevate their career aspirations through which they serve others with integrity, empathy, and impact. Our mission is clear: to help people imagine who they can be and accelerate their journey of personal and professional leadership formation. To the families and friends here, know that your graduates leave us with the knowledge and skills to thrive in their careers and to lead with heart in their conviction to serve others. That's what you've helped nurture and we've helped shape. Graduates, you'll always be core members of our community and the embodiment of our mission. You're dreamers and doers and builders of more than just a compassionate world. As you take your next steps, may you always carry with you the courage to imagine the future and the aspiration and courage to make that imagination real. Congratulations, class of 2026. The next episode of your journey is about to begin now, and we can't wait to see where you'll lead. Thank you very much. Now, I am pleased to introduce our student speaker. He J. Jack Choi is graduating from the Chaifetz School of Business at St. Louis University with a degree in Business Technology Management. During his time at SLU, he served on the executive boards of organizations, including the Student Government Association and the International Student Association, contributing to the growth and development of the St. Louis community. Jack's college journey has been anything but traditional. Originally a flight science major, He paused his studies after his sophomore year and served 1 year and 9 months in the Republic of Korea Air Force. Rather than returning immediately to campus afterwards, he spent another year and a half working at a venture capital firm as a project manager, where he managed open innovation projects with global companies, including Mercedes-Benz and Autodesk, leading innovation initiatives across various industries. Through collaborations with global corporations, he also supported the growth and business development of multiple startups. After returning to SLU, Jack changed his major to business technology management and fully immersed himself in studying the intersection of business and technology by actively utilizing the many resources and opportunities available here at SLU. Since then, he has proudly represented SLU through global case competitions, campus projects, and leadership experiences while continuing to build his own path as a proud Billiken. Now I invite Jack to the podium to share his business Billiken story. Please join me in welcoming Jack.
Thank you, Dean Nickerson. Good afternoon, everyone. We made it. We did it. Thank you. Congratulations to our class of 2026. I am grateful that we all can be here together, celebrating the end of one and the beginning of a new chapter. When I look back, our college experience has been filled with so many memorable moments. Many of us probably remember sitting in Professor Gilliam's famously challenging OPM class, wondering why this class is so difficult. And on other days, you might have found yourself in Professor Graneman's data visualization class, playing with data and discovering new ideas in its relaxed atmosphere. Some Wednesday nights, many of us found ourselves at Humphreys, enjoying penny pictures and taking a break from the stress of school. And there were those evenings sitting in front of the clock tower, talking with friends about everything and nothing at the same time. Of course, we cannot forget the slightly frustrating moments, like having to pick up our phones every single time just to get through that Okta verification when logging into our school emails. But somehow, even those moments will become memories that we look back on with a smile after today. I'd like to begin with my speech with one question. How many of you started college in a world where AI just meant a simple chatbot or autocorrect judging your spelling? And now it writes essays, builds business plans, code apps, and answers emails faster than we can ever type. Since ChatGPT was launched on November 30th, 2022, we were probably the last graduating class that has experienced university life before and after ChatGPT changed everything. We learned how to write papers without it, and suddenly we had to learn how to think with it. That shift, it wasn't gradual. It was like upgrading from a bicycle to a spaceship mid-semester. And in many ways, that mirrors our entire college journey, because if there's one thing our class understands, that is change. And in those times of rapid change, when I reflect on our journey, what mattered most was knowing what we stand for, our purpose and our values. Today, I want to reflect on this idea through 3 experiences from my college journey at SLU. And the first began when my own path at SLU took an unexpected pause. My own path at SLU was not a linear line. It wasn't at all. During my freshman year and sophomore year, I wasn't exactly what you call an academic weapon. I was enjoying college, maybe a little too much. But somewhere along the way, I realized that something important. I did not have a clear sense of purpose for why I was pursuing my education. Then I made a decision to pause and step away from college. At that time, it certainly didn't feel like a strategic move. During those gap years, I served in the Korean Air Force for 1 year and 9 months. And after that, instead of coming back to campus, I spent another 1.5 years working full-time in the real world. While my friends were taking exams, I was learning different kind of responsibility, the kind where a decision carried real-world consequences and deadline affected more than just a grade. Those years taught me so many valuable things that I could never learn if I had simply continued moving forward without direction. And here's the biggest lesson I learned through this experience. Sometimes it's okay to pause. If you need to step back to realign your direction, if you need space to reflect and rediscovering who you are becoming, that pause is not a failure. When I came back to SLU, I was different. Not smarter, not suddenly gifted, but intentional. Once my sense of direction and purpose became clear, learning felt like something I wanted to do, and when the shift happened, the result began to follow. But here's more important part, which is that this story isn't just mine. I'm pretty sure every single one of you had a moment that things didn't go according to plan. And yet, here we are, not perfect, but stronger. At this point in determining our directions and career, we're also thinking about what values we bring to the table. If AI can write faster than us, calculate faster than us, analyze faster than us, then what makes us valuable? AI can process information, but it cannot choose a character. AI can generate answers, but it cannot define purpose. AI can optimize performance, but it cannot decide integrity. So maybe the real question for our generation isn't how do we keep up with the technology? Maybe the right question is, as technology accelerates, what kind of human beings will we choose to become? Because in business, in leadership, in life, skills will evolve, but character is a choice. As an international student, I also experienced something here that shaped me deeply. I arrived at St. Louis University as an outsider, culturally, linguistically, religiously, but I never once felt like I didn't belong here. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens because this community practices something powerful. Jesuit values are not just written in brochures, they're lived. Cura personalis, care for the whole person, men and women, for and with others. In a world feels increasingly divided politically, socially, ideologically, this campus showed me something different. Unity can exist. It showed me that people with different background, belief, and perspective can actually grow together. And I believe that kind of culture didn't create itself. It exists because we chose to believe in those values and because we built this community together around us. And in the future, as we enter boardrooms, startup corporations, nonprofit, wherever we go next, that ability to listen, respect, and lead with empathy will matter more than any technical skill. So today, I don't stand here as a perfect student. I stand here as someone who paused, questioned, struggled, recalibrated, and grew. And as we leave this place, I don't want to ask, are we prepared? Instead, before we leave this place, I hope we can ask our one question. What kind of people will we choose to become? When profit and principle collide, who will we be? When speed tempts us to sacrifice ethics, who will we be? When success becomes possible, will we remember service? Technology will continue to advance, markets will rise and fall, industry will transform. Long after today, our title will change, but our values, what will remain? So, class of 2026, let's not just be prepared, let's be principled. Let's not just be innovative, let's be intentional. Let's not just succeed, let's become the kind of leaders this changing world actually needs. Thank you again, congratulations, and class of 2026, may God bless you. Thank you.
Now I invite Dr. Xiao Zhang, faculty member in the Department of Operations and Information Technology Management, and last year's recipient of the Beta Gamma Sigma Outstanding Teacher Award, to the podium to announce student awards and honors.
Okay. Thank you, Jack. So it's truly my pleasure to recognize students who have achieved special honors through their academic excellence and commitment to our great Jesuit value. I will first announce the names of our individual award recipients. As I call your name, please stand and remain standing until the entire group has been announced. We'll then recognize all of these students together with one round of applause. Outstanding Senior in Accounting, Kathleen Connolly. Outstanding Senior in Business Technology Management, Max Browning. Outstanding Senior in Economics and recipient of the Larry Wonder Haar Service Leadership Award, Ali Bender. Outstanding Senior in Entrepreneurship, Sydney Anderson. Outstanding Senior in Finance, Anna Ryan. Outstanding Senior in International Business, Nick Parafuniuk. Outstanding Senior in Leadership and Human Resource Management, Rachel Heath. Outstanding Senior in Marketing, Montserrat Perez Carapia. Outstanding Senior in Sports Business, Seth Zook. Outstanding Intern of the Year Award and the recipient of the Frederick C. Yeager Service Award, Sanj Kumar. Outstanding Service Leadership Senior, Sam Hson. Outstanding Student Athletes, Eva Karma and Lukasz Avanowski. The Delta Sigma Pi Scholarship Key, we have 5 students: Nick Parafiniuk, Rachel Heath, Charles Ponder, Jack Flynn, and Molly Farrell. Thank you. Outstanding Student in Master of Accounting, Jack Lamb. The Neil Zest Leadership Award, Mariam Abdullahi. Outstanding Student in Professional Master of Business Administration, Stephen Gaber. Outstanding Student in Master of Science and Applied Financial Economics, Shuang Li. Outstanding Student in Master of Supply Chain Management, Ravi Prakash Anam Reddy. Outstanding Student in Executive Master of International Business, Jason J. Cohen. Congratulations, award recipients. I will now announce the honor societies so that we can recognize the students who have been inducted. I ask all graduating members to stand when I announce your organization. The first one is Alpha Sigma Nu. Alpha Sigma Nu is the honor society of Jesuit College and University. It recognizes students who have distinguished themselves through scholarship, loyalty, service in Jesuit tradition. Please stand up. A number of honor societies recognize academic excellence in the field of business. Will the member of Beta Gamma Sigma, Beta Alpha Psi, and Omicron Delta Epsilon please rise to recognize your achievements? Thank you. Congratulations to all our student award recipients. We recognize you for your hard work and commitment to excellence. I now invite Ms. Debbie Pike, Associate Dean of Undergrad Education, to the podium to present the graduates. Thank you again. Proud of you all.
We will now begin the presentation of the 2026 Richard A. Chaifetz School of Business degree candidates.
I now invite Dr. Yen Sun, Chair of the Department of Accounting, to the podium to present the first group of graduates.
Congratulations to our graduates earning a Bachelor of Science in Accounting.
Lacey Nicole Blank, Public Accounting concentration, cum laude. Sophia Benti, Public Accounting concentration, magna cum laude. Alexander W. Carroll, Accounting and Business Technology Management, Consulting and Advisory concentration, cum laude. John Patrick Karen. Kathleen Verna Elizabeth Connolly, Accounting and Finance, summa cum laude. Justin Arthur D. Colonian, Accounting and Economics, magna cum laude. Ian Paul Fagan, magna cum laude. Anthony Ozette Flores, Consulting and Advisory concentration. Alex James Gomrick, Public Accounting concentration, cum laude. Brandon Hampton, magna cum laude. Ardian Hoje, cum laude. Lucas Iwanoski, magna cum laude. Srinidhi Reddy Kunta. Faith Margaret McNamara, Public Accounting concentration. Joseph Nicolas Malero Sarabia, cum laude. Alan Mujikic, Finance and Accounting. Caroline Ann Murphy, Consulting and Advisory concentration, magna cum laude. Sonali Pandey, Public Accounting concentration, summa cum laude. Luis Joaquin Panier. Charlize Nicole Ponder, summa cum laude. Connor Patrick Riley, Public Accounting concentration. Laszlo Lantos Taylor, Consulting and Advisory concentration. Norman Lantos Taylor, Accounting and Finance. Benjamin Allen Vaught. Ramiro Jose Velasquez, Public Accounting concentration. Brianna Williams. Congratulations, graduates. I now invite Dr. Sherry Cheng, Interim Chair of the Department of Operations and Information Technology Management, to the podium to present the next group of graduates.
Okay, now I'm pleased to recognize our graduate students earning Bachelors of Science in Business Technology Management.
Shreya Shri Achi. Tamer Al-Hosni, Analytics and Enterprise Systems Concentration. Daniel Thomas Bearden, Analytics and Enterprise Systems Concentration and Accounting. Daniel Michael Bradley. Max Edward Browning, Business Technology Management with a concentration in Analytics and Enterprise Systems, magna cum laude. Benjamin James Bruin, Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration, cum laude. Caitlin Elizabeth Conrad, Marketing and Business Technology Management with an Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration, Honors Program, magna cum laude. Manu Ida. Isabel Fernandez Ohms, Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration. Gabrielle Michelle Flowers, Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration, magna cum laude. Tristan Honer. Sahar Husseini, Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration and finance, magna cum laude. Yusuf Khan, Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration. Sarah E. Kill, Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration, magna cum laude. Songyun Lee, Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration, summa cum laude. Ritika Matti. Fiona Ann McNeil, Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration. Dhriti Mudigonda, Finance and Business Technology Management. Somya V. Mupala, Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration. Mark Park, cum laude. Hee-Jae Jack Choi, Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration. Rushil Patel. Noor Aldeen Fawzi Safi, Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration, magna cum laude. Sumukh Pani Sayani, Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration. Kinjal Trivedi, Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration, cum laude. Dakari Wright, Analytics and Enterprise Systems concentration. Caleb Bennett Yachek, Finance and Business Technology Management with a Real Estate Finance concentration. Congratulations, graduates. I now invite Dr. Hailong Chen, Chair of the Department of Economics, to the podium to present the next group of graduates.
Congratulations to graduates earning a Bachelor of Science in Economics.
Owen Almer, magna cum laude. Eleanor Renee Bender, summa cum laude. Ava Marie Kalma, magna cum laude. Katrina Marie Churchill, Economics and International Business, cum laude. Landon Dolan, cum laude. Adam Drexler, magna cum laude. Kira Nicole Jensen, Economics and Accounting, magna cum laude. Reagan Jinson. Matthew David Klinecki. David L. Portman, magna cum laude. Pavan K. Sagurti, cum laude. Matthew James Shiwer, Economics and Finance, magna cum laude, honors program. Owen V. Sikorsky, magna cum laude. Colin Joseph West. Ethan Leo Weissar, cum laude. Zora Marie Williams, Economics and Finance. Congratulations, graduates. I now invite Dr. Rob Boyle, Chair of the Department of Management, to the podium to present the next 3 groups of graduates.
Congratulations to our graduates earning a Bachelor of Science in Entrepreneurship, Leadership, and Human Resource Management, or Sports Business.
The following students earned a major in entrepreneurship. Sydney Danielle Anderson, Entrepreneurship and Marketing. Imani Fluellen. Maxwell Anthony Guarino. Congratulations, graduates. Abigail Lane McKibben, Entrepreneurship. The following graduates earned a major in Leadership and Human Resource Management. Samuel Joel Aitchison. Leadership and Human Resource Management, Finance, Catholic Studies, summa cum laude. Natalie Ruth Ostman, cum laude. Lillian Bien, cum laude. Lainey Hawks, summa cum laude. Rachel Ann Heath, summa cum laude. Catherine Elizabeth Ignacek. Levi Johnson. Olivia Kopek, cum laude. Sophia Isabella Locasio. Abigail Rose Miller, cum laude, honors program. Sansita Palakolu, magna cum laude, honors program. Olivia Catherine Shy, cum laude. Morgan Abigail Wagner, magna cum laude. Congratulations, graduates. The following, sports business. The following students earned a major in sports business. Campbell Kennedy Gustafson. Garner Rivoire Hosnick, cum laude. James Evan House IV, Sports Business and Marketing. Connor Joseph Cady. Annabelle Murdoch, Sports Business and International Business, cum laude. Ryan Paul Murphy. Eleanor Grace Muskoff, Sports Business and Marketing, magna cum laude. Colin Edward Smith. Samuel Van Cleve. Jackson H. Weldy. Seth Thomas Zook, Sports Business and Economics, summa cum laude. Congratulations, graduates. I now invite Dr. Olgan Sahin, faculty member of the Department of Finance, to the podium to present the next group of graduates.
Congratulations to our graduates earning Bachelor of Science in Finance.
Corin Babor Agaragor, cum laude. Tristan Boatman. Isabella Bertel Franco. Tyler Lawrence Burns. Caitlin Ann Buss, Financial Planning Concentration, magna cum laude. Zachary D. Byers, Finance with a Financial Analysis Concentration and Business Technology Management, magna cum laude. Caleb Chu, magna cum laude. Blake Todd Degetz, Finance and Accounting, summa cum laude. Julian Dietz. Thomas D. Gioacchino. Danny Ding. Jackson David Dateman, Financial Analysis Concentration and Accounting, magna cum laude. Layla Jananovich. Jack Roderick Flynn, Finance and Accounting, summa cum laude, honors program. Nicholas Ryan Ford, Finance and Accounting, magna cum laude. Blake Alexander Giesler, magna cum laude. Grant Gorman, Accounting and Finance with a Financial Analysis Concentration, magna cum laude. Cameron Matthew Gruel. Dennis Marion Jakubik, magna cum laude. Emmett Juckum, cum laude. Kieran M. Klus. Sanch Kumar, summa cum laude. Luca Leonardo Chavaria, summa cum laude. Jacob F. Lundquist, magna cum laude. Owen Becker Lynch. John Charles Martin. Aldina Masick. Sarah Ella McCarthy. James Douglas McLeod. Daniel Gabriel Michaud, cum laude. Ethan William Milnes, Financial Planning Concentration, magna cum laude. Thomas Tiomirov Milchev, magna cum laude. Matthew Gavin Moore, cum laude. George David Muehlman. Sebastian Carlo Munoz. Olivia May Newneighbor, magna cum laude. Anthony Nguyen, Finance and Business Technology Management. Finnegan James O'Keefe. Oliver Roy Chung Olson. Dylan Min Pham, cum laude. Aiden Hewitt Phillips. Shruti Panda, Finance and International Business. Nina Michelle Preusser, cum laude. Katie Rader, Real Estate Finance Concentration, cum laude. Olivia Lorraine Ramsey, cum laude. Air I. Reese. James Rifle, Accounting and Finance, Financial Analysis Concentration, magna cum laude. Sharanya Rotte, Finance. Anna Elizabeth Ryan, summa cum laude, honors program. Ronaldo Vincent Penelosa Sabalvaro, Real Estate Finance Concentration, cum laude. Zuhair Rehan Saeed, Financial Analysis Concentration, magna cum laude. Jaden Schertz. Ryan Patrick Schwartz, Financial Planning Concentration, magna cum laude. Ella Hallahan Stover, Accounting and Finance. Accounting has the Public Accounting Concentration, magna cum laude. Sujit K. Sengupta, Finance and Economics, cum laude. Kaustubh Sri Perambudur, cum laude. Matthew Kale Switzer, magna cum laude. Leon Tash. Brian Christopher Tokarczyk, Real Estate Finance Concentration. Declan Francis Adam Townsend, summa cum laude. Sai Krishna Upagunduri. Brian M. Wegas, Financial Analysis Concentration, summa cum laude. Johnny Young, magna cum laude. Francisco Zuluaga, summa cum laude. Nina Lauren Zumwalt, summa cum laude. Congratulations, graduates. I now invite Dr. Hadi Alhor, Chair of the Department of International Business, to present our next group of graduates.
Congratulations to our graduates earning a Bachelor of Science in International Business.
Rakaya Ali, cum laude. John Andrew, International Business and Marketing. Howard Leon Cooper III. Kimmy Dang. Sophia Ann DeVito. Colleen Elise Dundon, magna cum laude, honors program. Fiorella Duran Montano. Molly Ann Farrell, summa cum laude. Vita Gavorkova, summa cum laude. Charlene Renee Hamilton. George S. Carews, magna cum laude. Yenna Kim. Melanie Miranda. Nicholas Marek Parafinyuk, summa cum laude, honors program. Nandini M. Patel, international business and finance, magna cum laude, honors program. Claudine Sane Schroeder, magna cum laude. Natalie Marie Smith, summa cum laude, honors program. Arta Talley, cum laude. Theodore Sterling Thompson, magna cum laude. Aaron Tomas. Magdalena Marta Was, summa cum laude. Elizabeth Grace Womer, magna cum laude. Congratulations, graduates. I now invite Dr. Mark Arnold, Chair of the Department of Marketing, to the podium to present the next group of graduates.
Congratulations to our graduates earning a Bachelor of Science in Marketing.
Zahi Keyshawn Britton. Madeline Amara Champion. Hannah Irene Clemens, magna cum laude. Nicholas Colton Kapanis. Abigail Elena Daskalaikis. Julia De La Rosa Lopez. Tyler Jackson Janelle. Madeline Kate Gensel. Catherine Lois Harlan, cum laude. Spencer Herberts. Regina Ann Giacotti. Arvan Kakar. Jacob Daniel Kilfoy. Andrew Connolly Kowalski, Marketing and Catholic Studies. Gretchen Maria Lucina, magna cum laude. Chloe Michelle Miranda, cum laude. Ivy Bell Miller. Elizabeth M. Noonan, summa cum laude. Adam Medhat Osman. Natalie Panagos. Montserrat Perez Carapia, summa cum laude. Maisie Claire Rader. Shivani Raj, Marketing and Communication, cum laude. Layla Kiana Rodriguez. Quinn Thomas Slement. Peter George Slinkard. Jackson Sparkman, magna cum laude. Jonathan Patrick Witt. Hayden Richard Woolley. Quinn Phuc Lan Vo, Marketing and Business Technology Management. Sophia Rose Zimmerman. Congratulations, graduates. This concludes the presentation of our bachelor degree candidates. We will now begin the presentation of our master degree candidates. I now invite Dr. Yen Sun back to the podium to present the next group of graduates.
Congratulations to our graduates earning a Master of Accounting.
Emily D. Hennis. Jack Casimiro Lemp. Olivia Autumn McKenna. Ian McKenzie. Ryan Matthew Meyer. Lucas Nordstrom. Preston Stork Jr. Logan Edward Townsend. Grace Susan Watsky. Congratulations, graduates. I now invite Dr. Christopher Thomas to the podium to present the next group of graduates.
Congratulations to our graduates earning a Master of Business Administration.
Maryam Suleiman Abdullahi. Fahad Ali Khan. Edward Joseph Barfield II. Hussein Rafiq Bogani. Malina Catherine Bryant. Laurel Ann Button. Justin Alexander Camp. Krista Carter. Spencer Lyon Dash. Sugata Das. Kimberly D'Souza. Robert Joseph Dodson, Jr. Amina Hadjic. Neil Higgins. Margaret Josephine Hoffman. Benjamin Shaw Hoover. Joseph Kaiser. Anne Frances Lally. Elizabeth Landry. Avi Landy. Rotendo McGrath Mafudzi. Harry Matthew McEwen. Christopher Patrick Moore. Zaya Lanique Nugent. Duke Von Tree Nguyen. Quay Nguyen. Anna Claire Phillips. Hashim Cusay. Matthew Lewis Sinnott. Chu Sock. Finnegan Frederici Stewart. Zach Talavast. Damon Watson. Alexander Wendell. Zongru Yang. Jiahui Zhang. Samuel M. Zaczynski. Congratulations, graduates. I now invite Dr. Hadi Alhor back to the podium to present the next group of graduates.
Congratulations to our graduates earning an Executive Master's of International Business.
Alan Aldrich. Jared Bridges. Jason Kogan. Efproxia Maria Panelu. Lori Marie Shaw. Milos Vukadinovich. Congratulations, graduates. I now invite Dr. Hailong Chen back to the podium to present the next group of graduates.
Congratulations to our graduate earning a Master of Science in Applied Financial Economics.
Alfred Donker. Robin Kapoor. Shuang Li. Congratulations, graduates. I ask Dr. Sherry Cheng to please return to the podium to present the next group of graduates.
And I congratulate all the graduates earning masters in supply chain management.
Siddharth Adapalli. Kristen Alex. Ravi Prakash Anamreddy. Naina Bonta. Kushalreddy Gautam. Ho Lan Ah. Yu Ting Huang. Varsha Karaboina. Manish Kumar. Nilima Kaparapu. Jaeswang Lee. Ayushi Oli. Ben Jagadish Sarapalli. Adarsh Suresh Shet. Akash Vania. Jaydeep Sagar Sujata Wadekar. Congratulations, graduates. This concludes the presentation of our master degree candidates. We will now begin the presentation of our PhD candidates. Dr. Chris Thomas, please come to the podium.
I invite Dr. Mark Arnold, Chair of the Department of Marketing, to the podium to present PhD candidates.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. I am honored to present our first candidate, Ben Chang.
The title of Ms. Chang's dissertation is How Green Word of Mouth Helps Individuals Navigate the Green Gap, Exploring the Competing Influences of Cognitive Dissonance Theory and Moral Licensing Theory. Congratulations, Ms. Chang. Dr. Arnold will now present our next PhD candidate.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. I am honored to present our next candidate, Pooja Ramankutty.
The title of Ms. Ramankutty's dissertation is Anti-Consumption Behaviors as a Coping, Compensatory, and Competitive Altruistic Mechanism Amongst Multicultural Populations. Congratulations, Ms. Ramankutty. Now that all degree candidates in the Richard A. Chaifetz School of Business at St. Louis University have been presented to you, I invite Dean Nickerson back to the podium.
Once again, graduates, congratulations. It is my honor to introduce today's commencement speaker, one of our distinguished alumni, Ms. Erin Koop. Erin is an international keynote speaker, executive advisor, and founder and CEO of Authentically EC. She's also the best-selling author of I Can Fit That In, How Rituals Transform Your Life, named to J.P. Morgan's 2026 Next List. She works with leaders across Fortune 1000 companies and global organizations to strengthen clarity, expand capacity, and sustain high performance in demanding environments. Before founding her business in 2020, Erin spent nearly 2 decades inside publicly traded companies, including Goldman Sachs and CBRE. Today, she's a trusted advisor to organizations from Intuit to Major League Soccer and is known as one of the most grounded voices in modern leadership, often contributing to global media, including Fast Company, Inc., Business Insider, and The Guardian. She lives in Chicago's North Shore with her husband, Craig, and their 2 sons, who are proud Billiken fans who I hosted at basketball this season. Aaron and Craig were married in St. Louis University's St. Francis Xavier Church 15 years ago. A 2003 graduate of St. Louis University's School of Business, where she earned a Bachelor of Science in Management Information Systems, magna cum laude. It's especially meaningful to welcome her back to inspire this next generation. Please join me in welcoming Erin Koop.
My fellow Billikens, what an honor it is to be back here at St. Louis University, standing before all of you on one of the most significant days of your lives. Before I say anything else, I want to acknowledge the people who made this day possible. To Dean Nickerson and to every faculty and staff member at the Chaifetz School of Business, thank you for investing in these students in ways both seen and unseen. You have showed up, you have sacrificed, you have believed. And to all of the families, the friends, the loved ones, both here and not here, please take a deep breath and really let this moment seep in. To each of you graduating today, what it took to get here matters more than you probably realize right now. The discipline, the late nights, the hard decisions, and the quality of those decisions that you've had to make while no one is watching and no one is applauding. All of it has left a mark on your character. And that goes with you everywhere from here on out. You're standing now at a threshold that feels both exciting and yet terrifying. I remember standing in that exact same place. As a little girl who did not grow up with much, not far from here in St. Charles, Missouri, I had 2 very clear dreams. Number 1 was to work at NASA Mission Control. Newsflash, that didn't happen. The other was to live near the Statue of Liberty. When it came time for college, without much guidance or support, I had no roadmap, but I applied to St. Louis University specifically for aerospace engineering. I was elated when I got in, and I was one of only a handful of women in the program, so it felt extra special to be accepted. A few months into my first semester, a couple of things became pretty obvious to me. First, every single class I had the word engineering in front of it. Engineering calculus, engineering physics. I had not fully appreciated what that meant before arriving, and I had no clue what that word would require of me. Second, I noticed that all of my classes were on the far east side of campus. Meanwhile, there was an entire sprawling campus to the west that I had not yet experienced. But if I'm being very, very truthful, it seemed that all the cute boys hung out on that west side near the quad, which happened to be pretty close to the business school. Look, you work with what you've got. So somewhere in that first semester, I had to get honest with myself. I was putting myself through college, and I also wanted to have the dream experience. The dream that I held on to so tightly no longer felt like mine. That engineering degree wasn't me any longer. That awareness brought immense self-doubt, as you can imagine. I questioned myself, and I wondered, what would it mean to change direction? Had I failed before I had barely even started? And then I made that choice. I walked into the business school, and I met with a counselor. I told her very confidently, I am very smart, and I like to be challenged. We talked through options like accounting, marketing, economics, and nothing seemed to click for me until she mentioned management information systems. It was the .com era, and I saw opportunity, so I said, sign me up. What followed was not what I expected. I found myself programming computer systems, and as it turned out, I was actually pretty good at it. By senior year, I was a teaching assistant for 3 professors. And for those of you old enough in the audience to remember floppy disks, my job was to see if I could break the programs that students created and then saved on those floppy disks. In hindsight, this is a pretty accurate metaphor for how I have approached most things in my life, which is there is usually a better way. That experience taught me something that still rings true today. Life is not linear. Careers do not follow a straight path. The ability to adapt and to stay open is not a weakness. It is actually one of your greatest advantages, and you are lucky to learn it young. No, like I said, I never worked at NASA, but that pivot to the business school led me to my first role in New York City, where I worked across the Hudson River from the Statue of Liberty. Every time I saw her in the skyline, I thought, the path doesn't always look the way that you thought it would or that you imagine, and yet it can still bring you exactly where you're meant to be. I came to this university as the first in my family to go to college, putting myself through school without a safety net. My mindset was simple. If there is a will, there is a way. Early in my sophomore year, my father passed away after years of severe illness. I was already doing what many of you have done in your own ways, moving forward while carrying more than anyone around you can really see. I had a work-study job in the chancellor's office, Father McGannon, bless his soul, stuffing envelopes and running errands around campus. It was work that felt quite small at the time. But in that space, something happened that I have never forgotten. There were two women in that office, Laura and Beth, who worked in development, and they chose to see me not just as a student helper, but as a human being. They engaged with me with real interest and attention. And when my father passed, they made sure that I did not go through that experience alone. Nothing in their job descriptions required that. What guided them was empathy and the willingness to act on that empathy. That spirit is woven into the fabric of SLU, and I was lucky enough to feel it when I needed it most. That, to me, is leadership. The relationship with Laura and Beth continued long after I graduated. For years, whenever I would return to St. Louis to visit family, Laura and Beth and I would meet for meals, exchange stories, and trade ornaments that still hang on my Christmas tree every year. I would fill them in on my early 20s, my life on Wall Street, and what I now lovingly call my Carrie Bradshaw era. And they loved the stories. They were a lot of fun for them to engage with, as I was quite a bit younger and had a lot of fun things to share. But at the same time, I was very busy building an identity that I thought would make me accepted, respected, and valued. I worked relentlessly to become someone I believed the world would take seriously. Eventually, I found myself further and further away from who I actually am. That realization stayed with me, and it became the foundation of the work that I now do, helping leaders and organizations find alignment between who they are, how they lead, and the lives that they are actually living. One of the biggest lessons I have learned is that you can achieve a great deal and still lose yourself in the process. If that happens, there is no version of success at the top that will make up for it. Staying connected to who you are rather than who the world is asking you or telling you to be is what allows success to feel meaningful when you get there. You will be offered a very clear definition of success, from titles to status to the next milestone that you chase, as well as the quiet promise that fulfillment is somewhere just around the corner. You will meet people who have achieved extraordinary things and still wake up every single day wondering, why doesn't it feel the way they thought it would? Your work will matter. It will be how you contribute, how you create value, and how you build a life and a livelihood. And there's real dignity in that. Just don't let it become your whole identity. When what you do is who you are and that consumes you, you have very little left when it shifts beneath you. Your intuition will speak to you in moments when something doesn't feel right and doesn't align with your values. Listen deeply to that. You have more agency than you know, and you can choose what matters most to you in every season of life. Have the courage to make adjustments, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's scary, even when it would be easier to just keep going. Believe in yourself. You've been able to do that, and you've all just proved it to get right here. So as you step into this next chapter, I will leave you with this. Lead with your character, especially when circumstances are hard. Stay anchored in how you treat others, because the way people feel in your presence will outlast anything you accomplish. Let your courage guide you toward what actually aligns with who you are, even when it's easier to just go chase approval. And please, don't wait to start living your life. Too many people push and prove and accumulate with the plan or the goal to finally live at some distant point in the future. Waiting to arrive at life often means missing out on it while it's actually happening. This next chapter is not about becoming someone new. It is about embracing opportunities for growth, staying connected to who you've always been, and leading your life from that place. The dreams you arrived here with may have already changed shape. That is not failure, it is discernment. The Jesuit tradition has always understood what takes people mostly decades to discover, that a life well lived is not the one that is most optimized, but the one most aligned with your values, your spirit, and your deepest sense of what you are here on earth to do. The form of your dreams will keep changing. That is the nature of a life that is fully engaged with. But underneath every redirection and every moment of honest reckoning with yourself, there is something that doesn't change, the part of you that matters, the part that reaches, and the part that cares. Follow that. When your energy, your actions, and your sense of purpose move together in the same direction, you won't just be more successful, you will feel more whole. From that place, you will be able to give the world something that no title can ever grant you: your full presence, your true leadership, and the irreplaceable light of exactly who you are. Congratulations, class of 2026. Go lead lives that feel like yours. I now welcome Dean Nickerson back to the stage.
Thank you for that wonderful and memorable advice, Erin. Character, caring about your community, courage, and career aspirations. These are the 4 C's of the Chaifetz School of Business, and you are their embodiment. Never stop imagining who you can be and what the world can be. You are the captain of your journey, and may it be wondrous for you. Remember that once a Billiken, always a Billiken. We do have, I think, the best mascot going. Congratulations, good luck, and I hope you'll stay in touch. And may that Ignatian spirit of St. Louis University be forever in your hearts. Now, before I ask Associate Dean Debbie Pike to return to the podium one last time to convey some important instructions to close your ceremony, I want to invite all of you back to Cook Hall Atrium. We're hosting an afternoon dessert event. There'll be faculty there. I hope you will be there so we can further celebrate you and celebrate our community. With that, I turn the mic back to Associate Dean Debbie Pike.
Graduates, I have just a few quick housekeeping items for you. So after the stage party has left the arena, please follow the marshals and proceed down the center aisle, exiting to the rear. Please remember to take your graduation gift and your diploma cover with you and head towards the loading dock doors where you will exit the arena. As there is another ceremony following this one, please meet up with your families and friends outside the arena. Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you at the Chaifetz School dessert reception in the atrium and at tomorrow's commencement ceremony. Congratulations.